shadows stretch and start to crawl. Moonlight whispers down the hall. A cauldron bubbles, it's calling me to
Hi, welcome back to Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts and happy Halloween, my lovelies. So for the next 13 days, we're going full on spooky with the Halloween Spooktacular Halloween crafts. I'll be showing you how to create these wickedly fun Halloween trinket trays today with pumpkins, cobwebs, glitter and even a little snakeskin for that extra creepy touch. Grab your resin, grab your sparkles and let's brew up some magical Halloween creations together. This video is part of the 13 Days of Halloween collaboration run by Loula at Nerd Goblin Art. I will link the playlist at the end and in the description, so go and take a look because there's some fabulous Halloween makes. Lots to get you inspired, ready for the Halloween season. So, trinket trays. As you can see here, I've got two very similar sized trinket trays, of which I'm going to make two very different looking outcomes. So for this first one, all I've done is I've got these bag of charms. Now they are necklace charms, so in order to pop them in this piece, I needed to snip the little circular piece that goes onto the chain off each one of these little charms. For this, I'm just using some little snippers, wire snippers, that I've got in a set of my jewellery tools. So I just continue to snip off all the little loops until they're all off, and then I arrange them in the tray the way I want them. Remembering that everything is upside down because we're working backwards with these trays. So I've arranged them how I want them. So the idea is to put a load of these charms around the edge and then put some on the one half, as we're going to be putting this tattoo on the other half. So we're going to be popping the tattoo on the mould itself rather than on the resin piece. So I'm just cutting out the tattoo that I want. So making sure I take the front film off this tattoo. These are just temporary tattoos from Amazon. I will pop the link in the description. So I'm laying my tattoo down face first onto the mould and grabbing some water and saturating the back until you can pretty much see through it. Now once we've done this, we need to remember to make sure the mould is completely dry before we pop any resin onto it, as resin does not like water. Now when working with temporary tattoos, I generally find it's better to pop them onto the resin afterwards rather than onto the mould. You seem to get a better picture. And this time was no different. Unfortunately, this was the one tattoo in my pack that had a circle missing out of it. Now you can see for some reason that circle just isn't getting wet. But it was a bit late to stop now, so I had to continue anyway. It was now time to pull off the tattoo. So I'm doing this really, really gently and sliding it off rather than pulling it off, making sure that all the tattoo is firmly stuck to the mould. This did take a few times, but I got there in the end. I was absolutely gutted about this circle, and I do attempt to try and pop it back down just to make sure that it wasn't me that had made the mistake and that it was an actual fault with the tattoo. And this is what it looks like now before we pop any backing onto it. I'm just giving it a bit of a dry and then I go over it with a dry cloth. Being really careful not to disturb the tattoo or any of the pieces that are in this mould. Now on to the next tray, to which we're going to be adding some snakeskin. So I've mixed up my resin. The resin I'm using is the craft resin 1:1 ratio. And I'm mixing it up with my electric M-Life mixer. I then popped it into my debubbling machine and poured a little bit of resin into a mixture of different types of crystals that I think have got that Halloween-y type of vibe. So there's some purple ones and some light pink ones and orange ones and some black obsidian crystals in there too. So I'm just making sure that there's enough resin covering all these little crystals in this pot. Now I don't just want them covered, I need a little bit of resin to be able to put all these stones into the edge of this tray. So after giving them a good mix, I'm just spreading them all in the edge and the groove, all the way round. I will speed this bit up for you because it did take a while.
creation. Spooky sensations, Georgies, gifts so gory, horror spinning, reasons grinning, Tony's tricks for Halloween.
So after filling the outer edge and giving it a bit of a clean up, it was time to pop some clear resin into this mould. Now, as you can see, I'm only just putting a thin layer on the bottom in order for me to pop some of this snakeskin into this tray. This is in fact real snakeskin that was sent to me from somebody that used to watch my lives on TikTok. And I happened to mention one day that I would love to put some snakeskin into some coasters, and she sent me this from her snake who had just shed his skin. And although it's really cool, it's a bit weird feeling it in your hands, knowing that an actual snake this size has come out of this. Now, in order for me to pop the snakeskin into this tray, I'm trying to open it up. So as it stands, it is in the shape of the full snake. So I'm trying to slit right the way down the centre and make it into one flat piece. So once I'd opened it up, I then popped it on top of this tray and tried to flatten it down as much as I could, covering the whole piece. I did this with several pieces just to make sure that the whole tray was covered. So after opening 2 parts of this snake, it finally filled the tray. I think it looks kind of cool. The next question was what to put on the back. So I decided to just pop a layer of clear resin so that you could see all of this snakeskin. And to be honest, I'm kind of wishing that I just left it clear. So I'm just making sure that everything's covered and that there are no air bubbles underneath this piece. Then, in order to finish the next tray off, I top this off with more clear resin, just enough to be able to cover these little charms. And again, I'll be backing this with a different colour. So once I'd popped clear layers into both of these pieces, I then popped them into my curing machine, as it's now about 2:30 in the morning. As once again I decided to scrap my entire video less than 24 hours before it was due out. Now, the issue with this piece was that it looked a bit plain to me, so I had the obsidian by the side of me, and in true Tony fashion decided to go to town with this tray. So I sprinkled some obsidian crystals all around it, and then I went in with some brightly coloured holographic little stars just to give it that little special Halloween look. Now, I have already demoulded this, so I do know what it looked like. I wished I'd have not put the tattoo on it. I think that's the only thing that I would change about this tray. So these are the little holographic stars. I have got various different colours, and I'm just adding a few here, a few there, and kept adding them until I was happy with the amount that I wanted. Both of these trays were giving off real Halloween spooky vibes, and I loved it. So I'll just pop this on fast forward for you because there were a fair few. Come on, did you really expect anything else from me?
Shadows stretch and start to crawl, moonlight whisper.
So now this was fully cured, it was time to finish these trays off. So I decided to use some of this, I want to say dichroic sheeting, but it's not. It's a lot thicker. It's very much like thick plastic, but it's got this colour shift to it. And backed with black, it looks absolutely stunning. So just to try and seal this down, I am running a little bit of UV resin along the edges of this tray. I mean, you can see through the bottom of the mould. It's really starting to look cool. So I'm just using the craft resin UV resin just to go all the way around the edge in order to stick this little piece of plastic down to make sure that there's not going to be much leakage when I pour the next layer on top. And I'm just securing it all the way down and then popping it under my UV lamp to fully cure. Next, it was time to decorate the other tray with the snakeskin, so I ummed and ahed over what to do, and I decided to go for some chrome powders from Let's Resin. There is a discount code for Let's Resin down below, but these colours are absolutely stunning. So after pondering on whether I wanted the green, the silver, the purple or the red, I decided on going on the bright red. So although this was fully cured, this chrome powder was still going to sort of adhere to the top of this tray because the snakeskin was still showing under the resin, so they still had quite a bit of texture to it. So I'm just giving the entire tray a coat of these red chrome powders. I have struggled to get red mica powder in the past, but this red is really red. But again, the self-doubt is real because I'm not even too sure I like the red. It was now time to give these trays one final layer, and for this I'm going in with the black. So I've used some black pastes from Temu, mixed it in with my resin that's been through my debubbler and pouring it onto the back of these trays, making sure that I get right underneath the lip. So after making sure that these backs were completely covered in black, I then went over it with my long nose lighter to pop any bubbles that have come to the surface, because I find particularly with the black pastes it tends to give you a lot of bubbles even if you haven't mixed like a crazy person. It also helps to disperse any of the chrome powders that are sitting on the top, because when you add heat they tend to start to separate. So while these are curing, as a little added extra, as I had some more resin left, I decided to do these little cute candle holders. Now I didn't realise these were matte moulds, as these are the first time that I've used them, but they are really cute nonetheless. So I thought I'd try and make these a little bit different to see if this worked. And I'm using some glitter UV resin just to pop some little purple spots, random dabs all in his legs and in his body, and then pop it under my double-sided lamp. And I grabbed some of the obsidian crystals that I used in the other tray just to dot some into the bottom of this mould. Now I didn't know whether these were actually going to sink into the resin or whether they would show on top. So I had some clear resin left, so I decided to use some of the Let's Resin neon orange powder along with a glow-in-the-dark orange powder that I had off Amazon. Now if any of you seen my video yesterday, you would have seen my glitters all on the one wall. Now this is my powders and my inks on the opposite wall and drawers, and this is just under half of them. I think I have a little bit of an issue. And these are my glitters, all in little jars. And I've just so happened to have a load more delivered today, which I'll be showing you in a bit. So I'm just piling the powder in. I really want this to be bright neon orange, but I also want it to glow in the dark. I've said it before and I'll say it again. When using dry pigments in resin, it doesn't matter how much you use, it will always cure. And that doesn't matter whether it's glitter, sand, mica powder. It's only when using liquids that the ratio matters. I added some more of the glow-in-the-dark powder because I wanted this to really glow, and I wasn't sure whether the neon would take over. So very often the neon and the glow-in-the-dark powders can be very, very gritty, so you need to give these an extra good mix, more so than you would your average mica powder. I then used some black Temu pigment paste and mix that into what little bit of resin I had left, and I give that a good mix. Now this resin has been sat here for about half an hour in total, so it is becoming quite thick, which is perfect. So after leaving the neon powder sit for a good 5-10 minutes, I'm now giving it a good stir again, just to make sure all those little gritty bits have disappeared. and I leave it to sit even further to thicken up even more. Now this has been sat for a good, I'd say 40-50 minutes. Now the reason I've left it like this, and you can see it's extremely thick, is that I don't want any colour separation. Now I've used this technique in other moulds and got some beautiful colour separation where the colour doesn't bleed into each other at all. But the moulds were a lot bigger than this, so I had a lot of room to sit. This one, unfortunately, I had to get my stick and start poking and prodding because of the thickness of the legs. As you can see, they are really, really thin. So this did take a while because it was so thick to get into all the grooves. But you can see I am just literally layering it one on top of the other and then pulling the mould apart just to try and make sure that it's all fully covered. Now I know I should be wearing gloves, but because of the project before that I scrapped and this one, I'd already gone through 4 pairs. I then put this in my curing machine along with the trays to cure. It was now time to demould these. So because my nails were still a state, I attempted to paint them, but the paint is all peeled off because of the crafting. I got my daughter with her pretty little nails to demould these for me. Now I'm not too sure about the red chrome powder underneath. I think I'd like to do one that's a little bit more clear, or maybe even with the green background. Let me know what you think in the comments. And it's time to demould the second tray. Now this was my favourite, but like I say, I wished I hadn't put the tattoo on it, as that sort of got lost in all the glitter bits. But oh my god, I absolutely love it. That sparkle, the shine, the charms, everything, stunning. Now it's time to demould the little candle holders. Now because the resin was so thick, it has gathered on the top, but I find it a lot easier to peel it off once it's still in the mould. As you can see, it's pretty easy. So after making sure that it was all clean around the edges, I then demoulded this cute little spider. If you can call spiders cute, that is. But you can see, even though it's a matte mould, the colours haven't blended together that much because I'd left them to sit until they were really thick. Now, the technique that this gives in a bigger piece is absolutely stunning. The only thing is, where I'd put the stones in, it had left like a pitting around the edge. Some of them are little holes, some of them are the actual obsidian chips that you can see. So I'm just going to sand off the bottom. There was also one that I poured just plain black in polyurethane. Unfortunately, there's no way to get rid of the little bits in between his legs, which was a bit of a shame. But I really love them both. Well, I'm so excited. I've had a package from Resin Supplies, and I will also pop the link in my description. But she sent me a welcome package for being a brand rep. So yeah, I am so excited. She sent me specifically some Halloween bits, so I'm just going to show them to you. So these are just a range of things that she's had available for, I think these were last Halloween. But she's doing some fantastic advent calendars this year. I had them last year and the year before. They were absolutely brilliant. Full of resin supplies, 25 days. So we have some little witchy, sparkly holographic glitters. We also have some little spidery glitters. We've got some, it's like gold shimmery green glitter, but it's got little tiny black bats inside. It's absolutely gorgeous. Unfortunately, my kitchen light is terrible and keeps catching this sparkle and these glitters. We've got some little silver spooky ghosts. Got some grey powder and some white powder. Now I'm not sure whether these are thermochroic, which means they change colour in the heat, or whether they are just mica powders. I've got a suspicion that they are a little added extra or interference powders. So we've got some more little spiders and pumpkins. We've got some orange and purple mylar flakes. These are fantastic. Can't wait to use these. We've got some little gold holographic spiders. We've got some black holographic bats, some more silver ghosties, some cute little pink sparkly glass shards, these cute little Halloween charms. We've got little skull charms. We've got some more little holographic bat glitters, some little black spider holographic black glitter, some more holographic spiders, but this time in your oranges, your silvers, your blacks, your golds. And then we've got some Halloween mix glitters here, as well as a pack of pink. She also sent me a couple of tubs. So we've got this stunning purple, and they come in these lovely little handy tubs. As you've seen, I like to transfer all my glitters into tiny little jars and then pop them on the shelves in order of colour. So the last time I was a brand rep for Resin Detra Supplies, I ordered a purple and pink pack for the Barbie film launch. So yeah, these glitters were sent in that pack. So I've already got some that I can now add more to. There was also this stunning purple powder. I think these are powders that not also pop into your resin. Then we've got some purple chrome powders. This is the same purple as the one from the Let's Resin pack, I believe. And then we've got some stunning orange chrome powder. So that's our spectacular Halloween trinket trays, handmade with love and just a little Halloween magic. So if you've enjoyed this spooktacular, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell so that you don't miss any more resin creations and crafty fun. Thank you so much for watching. Now here's a closer look at my finished pieces. I've been Tony from Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts. Until next time, keep those cauldrons bubbling and your resin sparkling.